All right, my math friends, today we're going to be taking a look at different real life situations and trying to write a function to go with them. So we're going to turn this situation into an algebraic function, kind of turning it into a brand new language. We talked about how algebra is like its own language, so we've got to take what is set up here and flip it over. So here's our first real life situation. It says Luke is taking on the challenge of biking from the top of Minnesota to the bottom of Texas. It is a 1,829 miles for the entire trip. Plans to ride 45 miles each day. What is write a function to match this situation? All right. Well, we know with the function that we're going to have two, or at least two variables, and we're going to have an equal sign. So I'm going to draw that equal sign right away, and I'm going to start building this function. All right. I have to think about what are we trying to figure out? Well, we're trying to figure out how much distance they have left. So I'm going to put a D for distance at the start of my equation because that's what we're trying to figure out, how much distance they have left to go in this trip. All right. Now we know that it is a 1,829 mile trip. So that's our starting point, 1,829, because that's how many miles he will have to start with. And he's going to be getting less and less as he goes. And every day he can ride 45 miles. But we can't just put minus 45. We have to add a variable on. Now we have a situation here. We use distance here as our first variable, and it's 45 miles each day here. So we can't use D again. So I can pick another, I can pick basically any letter, and I'm just going to use X in this situation and write my function. So to write our function, it's D equals 1,829 minus 45x. D equals distance. X equals the number of days he's been riding. It's that simple. We turned that situation into a function. Let's take a look at another one. Students at Lincoln Elementary are going on a field trip to Valley Fair. Mr. Schmidt's trying to figure out how much money it will cost to go. He learns that renting a bus costs $300, and each admission ticket to get into Valley Fair is $25 per student. All right, so let's write a function to go with this. All right, now a couple pieces of information. We know that we're trying to figure out how much money it will cost to go. All right, so I'm going to use C as my first variable because that's what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out the cost to go, so I use C. Now, I could use any variable I want, but I tend to like to use letters that go with the words. It just makes it easier for me to remember. All right, now we have this first piece of information that says he learns that renting a bus costs $300. That's not going to change. It doesn't give us anything that, hey, it costs less if they have less students. It just says, hey, a bus costs $300. So I'm going to put 300 into my function. Pretty easy. Now, in this case, we're adding together for a cost. So I'm going to add together. So I'm putting an add sign there. And then it says, hey, and each admission ticket into Valley Fair costs $25 per student. So $300 for the bus plus $25 per every ticket. Now I could use T, I could use S, I could use $25 per ticket, $25 per student. Doesn't really matter. They kind of mean the same thing. I'm going to use T, so $25 per ticket. And we have our function. We could take any amount of tickets. If I bought 5 tickets, I could plug this into this function, figure out what C is. If we bought 300 tickets, I could plug 300 in for T, and we could make this into we could figure out our costs. So we're writing a function that goes with this. So your first job is going to be to answer just a few simple ones, and then you're going to watch another video that it's going to explore some a little bit harder situations. All right, good luck.